He makes videos about computers on the internet. Timmy Joe PC Tech. Tech reviews, computer parts. You betcha.
Hi guys, what is up? My name is Timmy Joe. I make videos about computers on the internet, and today, new set, new beginnings, because I did announce very recently that YouTube was going to be my full-time job. And I know I haven't been putting out, like the kind of content that would necessitate that, kind of doesn't make sense. That's because I've been working in the background to get a lot of prep work done and what have you, so that when I was ready, we would be able to launch this awesome show. This is a new show on my channel. It's going to be called The State of Tech with Timmy Joe. And, I'm not one for the rumor mill. I mean, it's fun to speculate. It's fun to talk, but this isn't going to be one of those channels that every day throws you, some bullshit article or some little tidbit from video cards, whatever, where, there's some Firestrike benchmark that's been leaked that shows that the Vega 4 nanometer might come, by the end of the year. It's not a thing, But what we are going to do here is going to have discussions, okay? And what I'd like to do is I'm going to make this maybe a live show, maybe a podcast where I bring in, some guests, some stuff I did in the past, and now that I have the opportunity to, once I get, a little bit of equipment and stuff all online to be able to do that kind of stuff, that's what we're going to do. We're also going to do some Ask Timmy Joe segments and stuff like that here on this set, but this is a little bit less, convoluted, a little bit less, bunch of graphics cards on a shelf in my background. This is going to be more focus-centered on tech news and stuff like that, still here on the Timmy Joe channel, and a little glimpse of where we're going. And I might not even always wear, the suit jacket. I'm not wearing any pants. So we're going to talk about the state of tech, and I have my mouth shut about a lot of this stuff for a while, mostly because I've just been concentrating on getting you guys cool, build videos and stuff like that. But now that I'm going to have the time, I would like to devote at least 1 or 2 days of the week to a show like this. And we have a lot of tech news to discuss. You've probably already been bombarded, but I'll give you my little, take on the matter. So, ding dong, the bitch is dead. Which old bitch? Brian Krasanich. He resigns. Good pronunciation. So, who is this? He's the CEO of Intel, of course. And he's been doing it for a long time. And he is basically the king of complacency. Under his reign, he has had to deal with very little competition until about the last year. And Ryzen has certainly ruffled his feathers. Now, of course, he has not been ousted because of that. There's some BS, probably, not a big deal. Would have just swept it under the carpet if he was, really grabbing everything by the balls right now. But he apparently screwed some girl or something. I don't know. There was some affair going on, and that's what we're blaming this on. But we all know there's been more than a few foibles as of recently with Intel, and although they're about to have a record profit year or something like that, that doesn't mean that, this guy's not doing all the wrong things and that next year isn't going to look worse. So we see here, he's just kind of an awkward guy. He's not very charismatic. In fact, I think he kind of looks like if the guy that, voiced Mr. Burns and Mr. Burns, were put together, that's what you get with him right now. Ugh. And he's kind of like Mr. Burns to where he likes to make sure he's making the maximum amount of money at the expense of his customers. So we have this happening right now, of course. AMD is about to launch a 32-core Threadripper. And as a well-versed user of the original 16-core Threadripper, this is exciting. This is pushing the envelope. But where does that leave Intel? Well, a 28, core CPU that is going to, well, that's not as many cores. I mean, they one-upped by 2 last time with the 1950 XE, or the 7850, so confusing. Anyways, but, they've got this BS, 28 cores, and they're showing it off. And then, we've heard the story time and time again since Computex. They literally put a refrigerator on a closed loop or an open loop, and then ran, some really cold fluid over this 28-core Xeon with some specialty motherboard that allowed them to achieve the benchmarks and the presentation. And this is why this guy's going bullshit like this. It was even, a year ago when the X299 launched, and it was clearly a rush because they didn't anticipate Threadripper. They didn't anticipate Threadripper being such a success. And then they had the balls not to release their X299 platform at a competitive price because they don't want to cannibalize their Xeon brand. But they released this, high-end desktop platform that's pretty good with VRM issues, with motherboard issues, chipset issues, and in long and short of it, it performs if you know what you're doing. But as a drop-in, plug-and-play solution, Threadripper at sometimes 2/3 of the price for the same core count is obviously the better solution. So au revoir. I look forward to who might be the next CEO of Intel. I know there's been rumors of them nabbing up all these CEOs and all these different people, Raja Koduri and whatever, for some graphics card division. But I know Intel's not going anywhere, but with their 8086 bullshit that's just an 8700K, there's no launch of an 8-core processor for the mainstream desktop at Computex, and the looming Threadripper and a looming 7 nanometer Ryzen when they can't even get 10 nanometer down. It's just a no-brainer, and I'm glad to see the guy go. It's going to be better for competition. I like Intel, for certain things, and of course they're still slightly ahead on IPC, but that remains to be seen if that actually keeps up once the new Ryzen launches. I was pretty impressed actually that the Ryzen revamp was able to gain, I went from a maximum score with me putting a computer in a freezer of 1800 with the same sort of chip doing another 200 points over 2000 in Cinebench with their newest chips. So once they refine the process and shrink the node and it's 7 nanometer, who knows, the sky's the limit. They'll probably be overtaking Intel, and they're at a scramble to make it happen. So here's one of my favorites, okay? Dr. Lisa Su. She's such a nice lady. I love her. She's got such enthusiasm. She's going to disrupt the space, and I think that she laid a lot of groundwork early in her reign at AMD to be able to get to this point, and all the fruits of the labor are coming up for her, and I'm so happy for her. Now, where we see them just dominating and gaining market share, month after month with Ryzen, Vega was a cluster. Vega sucked. I did a couple of videos. I both tested the Vega FE or whatever, the Frontier Edition. There we go. And Vega 64. And I would never want to have one of those cards for gaming. There might be some applications, maybe even your miners or whatever, which I'm so glad we'll talk about that in a second. But I would never want to have one of those GPUs over a 1080 that sucks half the power, or a 1080 Ti that sucks just about the same amount of power as a Vega 56 and is almost twice as powerful. Debatable. Anyways. But if they're able to pull this 7 nanometer stuff off, and I don't think Raja Koduri was the guy for the job. Honestly, I don't think he was very good at his job. And it's hilarious that Intel would come in, jump in, and steal a guy that was failing the same way. It just kind of doesn't make sense. So hopefully this works out for AMD. They've got some good people now, and it's all in, I think, it's not the CEO, it's the people, the ability for them to get the groundwork and the engineers, and they've been laying that down, and Vega everywhere, and they might not win right away, but they might win the way they've been winning with Ryzen, is just best case scenario for price to performance. So we see the 7 nanometer. This is bring him anyways. Who knows? We'll take this with a grain of salt. But apparently they began mass production of the 7 nanometer process for their Vega 7 nanometer very recently, and that is a very, very good thing for everybody. Because on to our next one, Nvidia, you bastards. Okay. No, I just bought a 1050 Ti. I just did a review of one, and everyone in the comments, even though I said it was overpriced in the video. Everyone in the comments was just blasting me for paying that much money. Especially, and I understand it, when you can get, you know, a better GPU for the price. If you go used, if you go a couple of generations old, this and that. But the state of the Nvidia, the pricing, even since mining has come down, has not reflected what we now know. 300,000 graphics processing units have been returned to Nvidia from a major board partner because mining shit the bed and they're not having it anymore. And what I hate is that this news came out and the prices of GPUs still haven't fallen. I mean, we have some very overpriced GPUs that are over MSRP, that are over 2 years old at this point, still flooded on the major retail sites. And this is a problem because if they're going to keep these prices stagnated where they are, then we're never going to see that new process from Nvidia. And then I know they have it there. They have the Turing, they have the Volta, it's all going to be there. But why not treat your gaming customers to this plethora of, you know, overproduced GPUs, and then everyone can be happy? Well, they're probably sitting on them and keeping these prices high so they can figure something else out. Maybe they hold on to them until the next mining boom. Maybe they're hoping that something like that will happen soon. Instead of feeding those GPUs in the market, bringing these prices down so that the next level of NVIDIA GPU will be you know, worth it to buy for you at the prices that these things are at, because the performance will be there. It really bugs me that I bought a 1050 Ti for over $200 when you used to be able to buy an RX 480, 4 gigabyte for that, which would be considered a much better GPU, even a 1060. 3 gigabyte, you know, should it be in that price range? I shouldn't be paying any more than $160, $150. Now, I do notice here that there is, you know, 170 for a 1050 Ti, but this is something you have to hunt for, unfortunately, and it's just the way it goes. So we see this guy who will no doubt, you know, eventually be responsible for Skynet, as one of my buddies out there says, copying your show and everything. Anyways, maybe I should put some popcorn on my desk. He says, what?
It's a long time from now.
It's a long time from now, he says. What does that mean, long time from now, when the next line of GPUs are coming? You know what? That's an asshole response, and that's because, you know what happened? That 300,000 GPU board meeting probably happened shortly before this, and he was just so tired of hearing from the media about a new GPU set. So what I'm really hoping is that my old friend, Dr. Lisa Su, can pull a rabbit out of her hat, get this 7 nanometer going, and it's actually worthwhile. Let's say it's even competitive with what NVIDIA's got, you know, in the sense of it's within 20% performance, you know, shot for shot. If they can get this on the market, you know, kind of under wraps by the end of the year, imagine the kerfuffle that NVIDIA would be in. They'd have this huge warehouse filled with GPUs. They got of the old, you know, where everyone was buying RX 580s, RX 570s, and then they bring out a Vega GPU that's actually worth buying. That could really rock the state of tech. And I'm at Watch Timmy Joe, Instagram and Twitter. I want you to maybe subscribe if you haven't. I hope you enjoyed this new segment. I will be taking all sorts of criticism and whatever behind in the comments below. Let me know how often you'd like to see me talk in this format. You know, what other kind of things you'd like to see on this format. But we definitely will still be doing build videos. I have so much stuff lined up for July, it's ridiculous. We have a Coffee Lake Core i3 build. We have another Voodoo computer that I don't think I've showed you guys yet, or maybe I've just showed a picture. I've got a Falcon Northwest build coming up, if you know what that is. I have a whole whack of stuff. Deep Cool just sent me a whole bunch of stuff. I got some water cooling parts on the way. I'm definitely going to do some sort of Intel, you know, bench, you know, sort of build, some sort of 8700K, I'm not sure yet, build. So there's lots of content coming. I encourage you to hit the subscribe button. Thanks very much for watching. I will take all criticism below, but I'm at Watch Timmy Joe, Instagram and Twitter. And I don't know how often I'll wear the suit jacket. Let me know if you like it. See you guys later.
Timmy Joe
I don't have anything
on the internet.
Bye.
On the internet. Timmy Joe, Timmy Joe. He makes videos about computers on the internet.